One. All right, guys. Hey, I'm here with Kaila Truth. I kept calling you Kaila forever because you spell
Yeah, I
it
know, right?
Kaila, so I was
Yeah.
confused. But anyway, I forgot how we met. I think we met through Mo, right?
Yeah, Mo
Because I saw your
connected us.
video and I was like, oh, you're friends with Mo, and I was like, could Mo, get me in touch with her? So we just clicked, and I was like, I have
Yeah.
to interview
Yeah.
you. There's so many people I want to interview. I don't have the time. But anyway, um, I'm glad we made it, and I'm gonna start with the first question that I usually ask people: is how long were you on the Democratic plantation, or were you ever on the Democratic plantation?
Girl, please. I was I was on the that plantation basically all my life because, being raised, that's how, we were taught. We were supposed to vote Democrat. So that's, was instilled in, my brain and all my family's brain. And we were told the party that was racist was the Republicans. So that's why I was
Mm.
on the Democrat plantation until I researched the top 10 pharmaceutical corporations in the United States. And I found, that the Democrats were the evil ones. And then I looked at the big picture of what have the Democrats done for the Black American race when, they are the hardest hit right now with the illegal immigration. So the Democrats have just played blacks as fools for centuries, and we have fell into it. So now, hopefully other people do like me and walk away.
It's funny. It seems like it's a really good example of mass brainwashing because every single person that I've interviewed in this series, they always say the same thing as far as I was just told to vote Democrat, and that's what I did because I was
Yeah.
black, because I was Asian, because I was
Yep.
whatever. Um,
Yep.
Maybe with the exception, I think Jonathan Pai. He's American Chinese. I think he said he was
Mhm.
always. I think he said he was always a Republican or he wasn't a Democrat. But most of the people have been just like, that's what I did. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, nobody
Yep.
questions anything. And,
Yep.
talk about
Exactly.
fake news media. They're the people that got people to change their minds and, their
Right.
consciousness basically and fed us these lies. And now people are just, we've just bought into it. And I think another reason why a lot of people are so stubborn to at least, you don't have to even necessarily agree, but so stubborn to just admit that they might have a point of, there might be another perspective, is the fact that, like, a lot of people are too proud to admit that they were bamboozled.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
well,
pride.
everybody got their dumb days. I know.
I know, but
You know.
there
You
comes
know.
a point. Yeah, I know
Everybody
what
got
you
their
mean. I
dumb
have my
days.
dum dum days, and I still have my dum dum days. I like that. I still have those, but I think that, like, I think that what am I trying to say is that it comes to a point where people can look at the other side and they choose not to, and that's where the pride comes in. And I've been really thinking about,
Yeah.
like, I haven't really read the Bible. I was raised Catholic. I believe in God and Jesus and stuff, but I'm not like, I don't go to church. I'm not like an avid churchgoer. I pray. But I've
Hmm.
been thinking a lot about the Bible um, well, I guess, year or so, the last year or so. And I've been thinking about, like, the seven sins, the sins and the virtues,
Mm.
and pride is one of them. But each of those
Right.
sins, if you commit them, whether you're a religious person or not, if you just look at, like, sins for how they corrupt people, right? If you go down that path of one of those sins, it leads you to a dark road. And I've been thinking a lot about the sin of pride. That's one of the seven deadly sins. And how a lot of
Uh-huh.
people are on the so-called quote-unquote dark side of history that have become violent, have become, crazy. They've driven themselves crazy.
The
Be-
devils.
yeah, it's kind of
It's
like,
the
if you think about it being a spiritual war or a
devil.
psychological war, it's a war for your mind and spirit, I would say.
Yeah,
And
it
and
is.
and
It
a
is.
lot of
And you have
people.
to stay prayed up. You have to stay prayed up and you have to keep your faith in God. And see, I grew up, back, in the 70s and 80s, and we had to go to church. Okay, it wasn't no talking, wasn't nothing like that, because back then, child abuse was okay. Okay, you didn't go to,
Yes.
you didn't get up and go to church. Okay, you got a whooping.
Child,
Okay,
yeah, all right, right.
you got you got whooped all the way to church.
I got whipped at
Okay.
Disneyland, Walmart, Kmart, Zodi's, like any place. My parents did not care. Mostly my
Right.
mom. My dad's whipped me a couple of times too, but mostly my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
My
know.
grandma, my mom. I was basically raised in the church 3 days a week and twice on Sundays with my grandma. So, and then I went to a Catholic preschool too.
Did you
So,
want to rebel
I had,
though? Did you want to rebel? Because I felt my mom. My mom is a real solid Christian now, but she was raised Baptist, and she was basically saying the same thing. She was just at church all the time. So I
yeah.
think she saw the need for the spiritual connection still as she got to be an adult. But then she was like, well,
Hmm.
Catholic church is only 45 minutes. So like, she was like, I get my 45 minutes in.
Oh
It's
yeah,
still pretty much the
yes, you're
same
right.
thing.
Black people's church, girl. You be in there all day on
Yes.
Sunday.
Yeah, she was like, we had like morning service, then afternoon service and Sunday school, then evening service. I was like, dang, the whole day. Like she would tell
Yeah,
stories.
girl. You got
Yeah.
Bible study in the morning.
Yeah.
Service.
So I'm
Okay,
just
girl, I used
like,
to cry. I just
yeah,
used to
didn't you
cry
want to
every
rebel
time
though?
I
Because
was done and I'm in church.
I can see too. I can see how a lot of people do want to rebel from that, and because they feel like it's forced down their throats. Like it just seems like a
But you know
lot.
what? Let me tell you. You know what? I am glad that that was forced upon me and instilled in me, because as an adult, you have to keep your faith in God. And I've seen
Yeah.
him work, to keep the demons away from you, to pray for, your sins that you have sinned out here.
Yeah.
He does, do beautiful things for those who believe in him, but you have to have the faith in him, and you have to have your own personal connection with him. If you don't have your own personal
Yeah.
connection, you can go to church every day, all day, but that's not going to, help you. You have to have your own personal connection with God. And my family instilling that in me made me the strong, powerful woman that I am today, because I have been through a lot. And if I tell people all the stuff that I have been through, they'd be like, I would have killed myself by now. And I said, well, yeah, I know. A lot of people would have killed themselves from the stuff that I have been through and I have went through. Even living in, I've lived, a lot of places. I've lived in like 35 of the 50 states. Who does
Wow.
that?
Yeah.
And had two children and bought my own house. Okay. And
Yeah.
worked in the corporate world. And took vacations. I've been to Thailand,
Yeah. Yeah.
so who does all that?
You've had
But
a driven person, a person that's
yeah,
driven. Yeah.
yeah. Because why I'm driven? Because my father, is a Vietnam veteran. When I was little, he said, girl, the world is big. Go see it.
Yeah, and it's so sad. I always talk about this. I lived in Taiwan for 2 years, and that was one of
Okay.
the best things I've ever done in my life. And I used to, when I came back to the States, I was teaching in the class, and I would always talk about Taiwan. And one of my students was like, man, you always talk about that. He told me.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I was like, but
I
you have
know.
to understand. I was like, it was one of the best things I've done, and I really want to encourage people
No.
to travel. And
Yeah.
then a lot of
Yeah.
African
Right.
Americans don't travel. Like I saw a lot of Africans
Yeah.
travel because I've been to Europe. I've been to Europe. I'm looking at where I haven't been in Asia, and that's pretty much it. I haven't been to South. I still have some trips planned, but long
Yeah.
story
Bucket
short,
list.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people in general need to travel, but in this situation, I'm really speaking about like my experience with Black people and traveling, because as I talk to other Black people about traveling, and they're just like, "Oh man, like I don't want to go over there. They don't like us. They don't like."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, they're most of the time they're curious, But I think a lot of Black people
Yeah.
also have been
Yeah.
fed this propaganda that like everybody
Right.
hates them, and they kind of stay in this prison, and because of that they're very you know, they don't feel like they're part of the world. You know,
Yeah,
they're not
right.
invested.
Yeah,
Once
exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
when you feel like you go out there and you explore and you find that you're part of the community and there are people that actually like you and even curious about you and maybe even treat you like a
Hmm.
celebrity because they've never seen a black person before.
Right,
You know
exactly,
what I
exactly.
mean?
I know when I went to Thailand, girl, that was the best time I had in my life. So I understand what you're talking about.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
I felt like royalty over in Thailand, and then
Yeah, yeah. And
I
they're
actually
sweet
hooked
people
up with
generally.
some,
Yeah,
huh?
they're generally very sweet, friendly people.
Yeah,
And the
and
food's
you know,
great.
you're right, because I ran into some girls from Africa, Barbados, Nigeria, and they were over there in Thailand. And you know, they ran up to me and they were like, "Are you American? You American? You beautiful American woman." I said, "Well, y'all black too." You
I
know,
know, but
I
culturally
just
we're extremely
they,
different. We're really
they was
different.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
"You're American." They were just amazed that I was a black woman and I was American. And you know, and then
Yeah,
the people there from Thailand, they were like, "Oh, there's a black woman that speaks English.
yeah,
Oh, let's give her the
yeah.
royalty."
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
No,
then
totally.
I met the king's grandson. Okay,
Oh,
the king's
dang girl,
grandson
you were
in
not playing.
Thailand.
You're like, I'm
Yeah,
going to
we
Thailand.
had a
I'm
party
going.
together. Huh?
I said you were not playing. You're like, I'm going to Thailand, but I'm gonna really go. Like, I'm gonna like live it up.
Well,
Yeah.
I met some people there, and I stayed in Bangkok. So I met some American men there that introduced me to Thai girls there that could speak English. And
Okay.
oh my God, they were just like girl, the regular girlfriends you have over here in America. That's how we was in Thailand. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah, totally.
we were.
I mean,
Oh, they had me all over the place.
I lifted this guy who said he played basketball in college and then he got like a side gig playing basketball in Europe, and he went into the
Yeah.
store and the guy shoot everybody out the store and they closed the doors behind him and he was freaking out. He was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna arrest me." Come to find out, this guy was like super rich. He never really been around a lot of American black people. He had like a yacht. He was like, "Come to my yacht," and really, he's like, "What? This is crazy." So
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
fascinating, but it's sad. I feel like, you know, a lot of black people, like kind of lower class black people, they don't really have the sense that like they they are a part of the world and the community, that the world, there's a
Yeah,
world bigger. When people
right.
understand that, but not only geographically, I saw this really good documentary. I forgot the name of it, but it was about how the city lights are basically messing with human nature and our psychology and our psyche. And they were
Mm-hmm.
talking about like,
Mind
and what,
control.
yeah, well, you can, yes, you can say that, but just even on a very visceral level, you look up at the sky and you don't see stars, and it doesn't give you a sense of connectedness. You know, in the cities, you're
Mm,
detached from that because you live in a city with all
right,
these bright lights. You don't see nature. You
right,
don't see. It's easy to take people's belief away from God and the mighty and the universe and all that. You know,
right.
same thing with the chemtrails. Like had some people to unsubscribe to me because I got excited and I took a, what do you call it, a video of the clouds because I hadn't seen clouds like this in a long time. Like when I was a kid, you know, the clouds would be puffy and just
Oh yeah, yeah. They
abundant.
got the made up clouds now. They got
Yeah,
the Darper and Harper.
yeah, but I'm just saying, but especially in Los Angeles, you see them spray and then they go back and forth and back and
Uh
make the tic-tac-toe
yeah.
signs, and then it would all just like spread over the city, and then you just get this haze and you don't see clouds. And you know, I think also too, like you don't feel a connectedness, you know, when nature is messed with like that. I went on a tangent.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. Well, you're right. You got a point because they're manipulating the weather and the clouds, the stars. Because if you look up at the sky now and compare it to like the sky back like when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, we saw stars. There was a whole lot of
Yes,
stars
yes,
in the sky.
yeah,
You know, you seen the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper. You know, you could
yes, you're right.
pinpoint them out. You don't see those stars hardly
You
in
have
the
to go
clouds
out. You have to go
today.
outside the city and
Yeah, you
see
gotta
away
go
from the
find a
lights.
star today.
Yeah, you do. You really do. And it's sad. And it's sad a lot of the younger generation does not know that because it's that,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they've been so
right,
detached from that.
right,
But
exactly.
I gotta let you talk. I'm gonna send this to my mom, and she's like, "You ain't let her talk. You need to let her talk."
That's sound like my mom.
You talking to?
I thought I was in that video we did with Mo, and it was like Kaila talking too much. She talking too.
Well, you know what? You had a lot of information to share, and
I know, right?
I'm really trying. It was a good exercise with me too. I spoke too, but not as much, and I'm really practicing. Also trying to listen to people, so it was good that I was like the moderator, and I was able, like it kept me on focus. It kept me from not jumping in and walking over people. I think I did good.
Yeah, you did real good.
Okay.
I'm the one that kept jumping.
Yeah,
in.
it's good. But I asked, but you know what? Too bad, because I was like, well, does anybody want to speak? Nobody. Okay, it was like, I'll speak. Okay, I'm like, okay, nobody else said they want. I gave everybody a chance, so too bad if they didn't.
Exactly.
So going back,
I say, whenever I want to answer it, I'll answer that question.
Yeah. Hey, puppy, were you on the Democratic plantation? I'm just kidding.
He said no.
He's like, woof. So what I was gonna say is, I was gonna ask you. We kind of had a little bit of the same awakening experience, I think, because you were talking about all of the work that you did in the pharmaceutical industry, and that was my awakening experience with my friend who started this channel with me. Her son's autistic, and he was damaged by vaccines, and when she was sending me information, it just sent us down a rabbit hole, Yeah. And you start asking questions. Okay, well, how did this happen? Why don't the doctors know about this? Oh, the medical schools fund the doctors' education. Who's in charge of funding the doctors? You start asking yourself these questions, and then it leads you to evil. I mean, for lack of a better word. But it's just unbelievable. And also the trolls. So people ask me, they're like, oh, do you get upset when people call you coon or so? I'm like, no, dude. I'm like, I dealt with the pharmaceutical trolls. Those are the worst trolls ever. Really? Those, if you get those trolls first, you can handle any other kind of troll. That's nothing.
I can care less, okay, because the truth will set you free. Okay. That's the way.
Well, I mean, tell people
you don't like what I got to say, but guess what? The truth will set you free, whether you like it or not.
But yes, it's very true. But then there are people too. Going back to what I talk about, that don't want to believe that they've been lied to, and they even if the truth is presented before them,
get lied to.
Well, I know, but they're people that they have such an appeal to authority complex. They can't believe that conspiracies exist on such a broad level with the government, and and it's funny because they'll watch movies about it. What do they call it? Predictive programming, where it's kind of like hidden in plain sight. Well, people can believe a movie about it, but if you talk to them about it in real life, they're like, that never happens. That's only in the movies, Yeah.
Well, I talk about my situation in real life and what happened to me, and I wrote about it on my blog, and I got very adamant about my situation because I'm like, if they're doing this to me, how many women are y'all doing this to? Because also, if you're in a situation and you almost died, okay, I almost died. I almost lost my life.
Like how? I mean, I believe you. Just be
control device.
I'm trying to prompt you. I want you to talk about it. So this is kind of like your awakening.
Well, I'm getting to that point.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm saying, people that don't believe it is what I'm saying, and they think it's a conspiracy theory and it's a lie, they're hypocrites because, unless you have walked in those shoes, you can't say anything about it, and you can't call that person a liar because that is that person's personal experience that they are trying to share with you to bring awareness
to help
and to alert other women so they won't have to go through it, and they can, take the proper precautions to protect themselves and their daughters, because a lot of these women have daughters out here, and they need to know about how this birth control can kill them. And there's a lot of women that die due to birth control, but it's being brushed under the rug.
And the same thing, I just want to interject a little bit. Same thing, same patterning I noticed with the vaccine industry, and the same heinous thing. All these parents of children that have been injured by vaccines, and all they want to do is just alert people, and they get attacked. It's just the most saltiest, heinous stuff I've ever seen, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just like, you know, because my friend and I were just like, oh, we'll just post this information on our wall because people don't know. Like, people aren't given true informed consent, and people have to know this. And, you know, this is around the time a lot of my friends started having children, and I was just, like, blocked and defriended and shunned. And, you know, it was very painful. I mean, I gained a lot of really cool friends, too, but that was just my intention. It was just, like, people aren't getting all of the information to even make solid decisions. And then, you know, people are getting cancer, and they're just acting like, oh, we don't know where it comes from. It's like, yes, you do. It's coming from the exact place where you don't want to look. The chemicals, the birth control devices, the vaccines, all the other medical procedures. There's a report. Do you know Gary Null? I'm sure you know Gary Null.
I think I've heard of him.
He did a report with some other doctors. Yeah, called Death by Medicine, and it's iatrogenesis basically. Is like the second or third leading cause of death in the United States out of all this information that they compile. This is death through your situations like that. They count like, you know, prescription drugs, properly prescribed prescription drugs, birth control, like all this stuff. That's what it is, you know?
Right, exactly. And see, I had no clue. I had no clue what was going on because my situation, it was one traumatic event into another traumatic event into another traumatic event. And I was like, what in the world? Because the reason why my situation occurred is because I lost a child back in 2016. It was stillborn. It died inside of me. And I had to have the child, okay, a dead child. That was right there was, you know, a big one for me to do there. And anyway,
I have a question. Did you go into labor or did you know months before?
I had to go into, no, I didn't know months before. When the child died, you don't know, that's growing inside of you. I was 5.5 months pregnant. So, you know, the child is growing inside of you, but I didn't know, and the doctors didn't know the child was going to die inside of me. And the child died, and yes, because the child was developed, I had to have the child naturally, like a regular childbirth, like I was giving baby to giving birth to a live baby. I had to go through the contractions. I had to get the epidural. I mean, it was devastating to know that you were birthing something that was going to be dead when it came out. That is a very hurtful experience. I wish on no woman.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
And the baby touched my leg, you know, when it came out. And, you know, the nurses and doctors, they were nice. They took pictures and stuff of the baby. But I was so scared of the dead baby. I said, I don't want to see it. Okay. But my mom was like, send me the pictures. I'll take the pictures. So my mom got the information. But anyway, so after that, I had some female problems. They couldn't get my placenta out. My placenta had grew attached to me, so they couldn't get it out because I'm Rh negative too. But anyway, so they ended up calling some doctors in another country, put me on bed rest because I could have bled to death. After that, having that, stillborn baby, they were looking for me to bleed to death. And luckily, the medication that they gave me, I did not bleed to death. My body basically ate the placenta. So all the women out there, they're talking about you got to remove the placenta. Guess what? My body ate it.
Well, it absorbed into your body. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, no, it ate it. It ate the whole thing.
Like, how did it eat it? I'm gonna challenge you on this. Like, it grew like teeth. Like.
No, I don't know. It disappeared. Put it like that.
Okay, I'm being pedantic. Yeah, so okay.
It absorbed, ate it. All we know it was gone.
Okay.
3 months later, the doctor went back in to make sure everything was good to go, and I was perfect. I was back perfect, normal again. So I said, "Oh my God, I don't want to ever go through that ever again." I said, "So I need some birth control, okay? Because between the dead baby and my placenta growing attached to me, that's devastating."
Did you wait? But just before we move on, did you have any idea of why that happened? Were you able to trace it back to that situation? Was it a medical thing that you could trace it back?
Well, I trace it back to me being RH negative. Any woman that is RH negative, our childbirth rate is very low. And
Oh.
I'm right at the mark. I have two. We either our children are either going to be stillborn, or we are going to kill our babies. When we get pregnant, our blood cells attacks the baby's blood cells and kills it off automatically, unless we get a shot called the Rogam shot. And I believe I
Huh.
hadn't got that Rogam shot. That's what I think it was, and it killed the baby because my blood cells attacked the baby's blood cells and killed it. It can't survive.
And RH
So
negative blood is
it's
very,
RH negative women, and it's a rare blood.
yeah,
RH
rare.
negative is a rare blood type. So women that have this blood type have to get this shot as soon as they find out they're pregnant. I think you're supposed to get it like within 6 weeks or a month, and I don't believe I got it. And if we don't get it, it kills the baby automatically. Our body looks at the baby as a foreign object, and it attacks it and kills it
Huh.
before it even develops. So I believe that's what happened with my situation. But at the time, I was working a very good job in Research Triangle Park in North Carolina, and I had good insurance through Duke University. So I was going to a well-established clinic and a women's clinic, and then I go and I ask the doctors. I said, "Look, the same doctor that did surgery on me." I said, "Look, I don't want to go through that ever again. Okay, I need some birth control." So they, at the time, they suggested Marina IUD because that was like the hottest thing on the market, at the time. Germany, and I did
Was
my research.
Depo-Provera out? Was Depo-Provera?
I had already had the Depo-Provera. Yeah, I had that too. That was the devil too. But I
Yeah.
really didn't have any problems with Depo-Provera except, I didn't have any cycles for a long time. That was nice.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's nice, but then you're like, this is crazy. I'm
Yeah,
supposed to be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you're going against
exactly.
nature. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what one of my aunts, God bless her soul, passed away. That's what she told me, and that's what kind of scared me. She was like, that's putting your body in a menopausal state. You don't need to
Mhm.
be taking that.
Mhm.
And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, she's right.
She's
you
right.
know. So,
And
but
not to
anyway,
be not to be rude, but a lot of people too that are having trouble conceiving could be traced back to these hormones and stuff like that. You
yeah,
know.
because I had that. And then I also was involved in a lawsuit. Ooh, that was a long time ago too, with the Nor plant. Remember the Nor plant? They put it in your arm.
Is
The
that an
tubes in your
IUD?
no Nor plant is they put it in your arm. Depo is the shot, and then the IUD is when they put it up inside the woman.
Oh, that's right. That I was thinking the
Yeah.
Norplant was an IUD. Yes. Okay.
No. Nor
Yeah,
plant
you
is in the
can't
arm.
take it out. It's like a little thing in your arm, and you have to have
Yeah,
it like a small
yeah. I
surgery.
still got
Oh
the scar.
yeah.
Yeah, I had that too. And I had
Yeah.
some problems with that. The girl wanted the tubes inflamed my vein really big. Anyway, there was a lawsuit with that. But the depot, like I said, I really didn't have any issues with that except, not having any cycles. But the Marina IUD, now that right there, that is the devil. I don't suggest any woman get that at all. But we didn't think about how previously how the other women, back in probably the 50s and 60s were having problems with the copper IUD. We're dealing with the same thing, but it's plastic and it's
And
worse.
thalidomide, all that stuff, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
Yeah.
worse. It's a
Yeah.
lot worse. So anyway, so I got the Marina IUD off of the recommendation of my doctor that had just did the surgery. Um, After I lost a child. And the other doctors in the office said, that would be a good for my age. I think I was like in my mid 30s. And so I'm like, okay, cool. They know what they're talking about. They saved me. I didn't die,
Yeah.
with the placenta thing. So I trust them. I'm going to go with what the doctors say. So anyway, so
Oh.
I said, okay, I'm going to go with what the doctors say. I'm going to trust these
Oh.
doctors. Girl,
Oh.
So I so I got in the Marina IUD, the T-shaped one. I got it in, And then, when I got it in, right off the bat, I was like, this is not for me because I felt it. I felt it the whole time. And, a couple of days later, I called the doctor. I said, look, I can feel this. I said, something ain't right. They were like, no, no, no. Give your body time to get used to it. Your body just needs time to get used to it. I'm like, this is some painful stuff. I said, how can you get used to this pain? I said, I can't get used to this pain. I said, I feel it. And God forbid, girl, if a man touched me at that time, because, girl, I would have punched him right in his face because that's how much pain I was in.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, okay, I'm going to listen to the doctors. I'm going to let my body, give it time to, get it used to it. Okay. Because they're the doctors. They ain't supposed to know what they're talking about. That was February 2017. By the time September, I waited. September 2000 and no, I'm sorry, that was September 2000, February 2007, and September 2007 is when I got it out. I said, I cannot take this pain anymore. I said, I don't know what this thing is.
So what month? So what month? September 2000.
I had it in February. I got it in February 2007, and I got it out September 2007. Oh. And guess who? I got it in through the doctor's office. But then I had relocated from North Carolina to Florida because of my job. So I got it out in Florida at Planned Parenthood. So to me, I got a problem with Planned Parenthood. For all these girls going to Planned Parenthood, okay, they a bunch of BS too. Trump need to defund them like he said, because they a bunch of BS. They removed the device, and then, at the time I was transferring, I didn't have insurance, and they didn't accept my insurance or something. So I had to pay out of pocket to get it removed. I said, I don't care how much it is. I just want it removed. Okay, get this thing out of my body. It hurt. Okay. So
wait, your insurance didn't cover for you to get it removed?
No, because I moved to a different state.
Oh, okay.
And Florida is different. Every state's different. Yeah. So anyway, so I I paid for it to get it removed, and so after I got it removed, I'm like, whoo, okay, whoo, thank you, God. I said, you know what? I don't have to deal with that no more. Thank God.
Girl, so you felt relief right away?
I thought I felt relief. I thought I was relieved until I started having female problems. I started bleeding all the time. I mean, heavy. I was going through a pack of 24 in 2 days of the pads, 24 in 2 days. I kept going back. Then I was having sinus problems. Then I kept getting infections. And I'm like, whoa, something else is going on here. So after, a couple of months of dealing with that, I went to the doctor, and he was like, because I kept going back and forth to him. He was like, look, you done been back here too many times. He's saying, we got to do just a full body on you because you done came back and forth too many times to this office. I'm like, okay. And then I passed out a couple of places and ended up in the hospital, finding out my blood pressure was like 200, like 180 over 200. It stayed in the 200s. My blood pressure was in 200. Doctors like, you should be dead, period. They was like, you, with your blood pressure this high, you should be dead. And I'm like, well, God still has me living. I don't know why. So then they kept giving me blood pressure medicine, because my blood pressure, but they never could figure out why my blood pressure was so high. But I figured it out. But anyway, so the doctor was a foreign doctor. He said, okay, I'm going to do a full body on you. So he did a full body and, requested, several tests to take, of me. And I remember distinctively when I went to go get my ultrasound, and you know how they do the female ultrasound. And I went to, get the female ultrasound, and the technician, he's up there looking, he looking around, and then he stopped. And when he stopped, he said, did you have some kind of IUD or some kind of, I said, yeah, but I got that. By this time it's 2009.
2 years.
Now,
Okay.
granted, I got it out in 2007. Okay. So by this time it's 2009. And I'm getting the ultrasound done. And technician says, well, did you have a IUD? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got that out, back in 2007. I said, don't tell me it's still in there. I said,
No.
I said, no. I said, oh, my God. So he said, okay, ma'am, you're just going to have to talk to the doctor. Yeah, talk to your doctor. So, girl, I flew back.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, it's bad when they don't answer your questions and then they got to go get somebody else.
Yeah, you better go back to your doctor.
Well, I know it's not funny, but I know, okay, go on. So,
girl, I was like, oh, no, they didn't. And it was like, oh, so I flew back to the doctor. I was like, what's going on? I said, he asked me about that IUD. And I said, I got that out in 2007. And he said, well, ma'am, there's a foreign object inside of your body. I said, where did it come from? I said, I didn't get no surgeries done. Okay. I said, I've been a healthy, woman. I said, where did this foreign object come from? Who put it there? And he said, well, it could be, it's from the IUD. You had an IUD. I said, yeah. I said, but they took it all out. I said, they took it out. He said, well, could be, he said, there's a small piece that broke off. I said, son of a sea serpent. Girl, I wanted to say the other word, but son of a I said, what? I said, no. He was like, yeah, you have to get that out your body. You have to get it out. So, girl, my heart just dropped down to the floor, and I'm like, oh, my God, they trying to kill me.
Did you have to have a proper surgery, or were they able to just reach up?
I ain't done yet. Oh, I ain't done yet.
Okay, go on. So, I'm hurting. My stomach's hurting. Just listen to this.
Okay, girl. So, and this is, like I said, this is from 2007 to 2009. This thing just been sitting inside of me. Okay. And the people don't understand, even if it's a small piece that your body creates off the IUD, tissue. There's chemicals still releasing inside of that little piece into the woman's body, because that's what it's made to do, is release those chemicals and hormones and all that into our body. And they were releasing that into my body for all them years.
And I just want to add to not only the chemicals, even if it didn't have chemicals, having a foreign object is dangerous in your body, because your body recognizes that there's something that's in it that's foreign, and it's going to try and push it out or create tissue around it to protect your other organs and stuff. I lifted up a nurse that works at a plastic surgery office, and she said she was all excited about getting plastic surgery until she saw the complications. And she said, even if you get like saline solutions, your body creates scar tissue around anything foreign that's been inserted in its body. I was just like, oh, that's so gross. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add to what you're saying, so I didn't mean to.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, because my scar tissue after those that many years, it was on my right side. It was in my lymph nodes down there, in the vaginal area. It was on the right side of my lymph nodes where it embedded itself. It moved from down there, and it embedded itself into my right lymph node. And my skin grew over top of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And at that point, and then it was in me so long, the thing was calcifying, breaking down into little pieces. So that was more damage, okay, because it was calcifying.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
But it grew over top of my skin. So anyway, after the doctor told me that, you need to get that out, I said, well, who do I go to? He's like, you need to go to a gynecologist. I'm like, okay, cool. So I immediately make an appointment to go to a gynecologist. Look, you got to get this out of me. And this doctor is like, okay, yeah, no problem. we'll get it out of you. So this doctor, gynecologist, just a regular gynecologist, not a specialist, he did the surgery. And then I go back for a follow-up, and he proceeds to tell me, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Your lining was a little bit crooked, and, that's it. I didn't, see anything. And I wouldn't worry about it.
Because he didn't look.
Yeah, I said, that's what I told him. I said, did you not see those x-rays from that other doctor? Okay. I said, you supposed to get the report from the other doctor who found out IUD. I said, did y'all not get those reports? Okay, you talking about you didn't find nothing. Tell me, oh, I wouldn't worry about it. It might just be a fibroid. So I'm like, okay.
And of course, black women get fibroids. So that's another thing too that a lot of people will write off other issues. Because I have a story. I won't tell it too, but other people will write off a lot of women issues as it's probably fibroids, especially for black, because black women.
Right, it's a stigmatism.
A little bit. I mean, it's true. There's truth to it, but it's also just like I can have something other than fibroids. But they're like, it's just fibroids. You're black women. Yeah. Black women get fibroids. It's just fibroids.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have no fibroids because the doctor checked me out after, I lost that baby, and everything was good to go with me. Okay, everything was fine until I got this Marina IUD. Everything was perfect. We took pictures. I looked pretty in the inside. Okay. Until I got this IUD. So anyway, so I said, okay, after that doctor, did that to me, I said, okay, let me go get a second opinion. Mm-hmm. And so I went and got a second opinion by, this was an African-American black doctor. I said, this doctor, I explained to her, I said, well, this doctor found this doctor did the surgery, but I needed another opinion. And now, granted, every time I talk to all of these doctors that I'm going to tell y'all about, and even in the hospital, they kept giving me medicine for infection. Oh, you have an infection. Oh, you might have HPV. Oh, you got a female,
Did they tell you had AIDS?
Oh, you got infection. No, they ain't telling me I had AIDS because I'm immune to AIDS because I'm Rh negative. Rh negative people can't get AIDS, okay? So y'all got to look that up.
Okay, I will. That sounds fascinating,
Yeah, we're immune to AIDS. We can't get that. But anyway, so I said, well, can you get the reports? Can you look? She talking about, she said, I'm going to have to agree with the other doctor that did the surgery. And, it's probably just fibroids. Take this infection medicine and you'll be fine. So this was 2009, still 2009. So, I went on with my life. I kept going in and out of the hospital because I talked to two doctors and then another doctor that found it. And I'm trusting these other two doctors. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. This doctor said this. These two doctors said no. So what? I'm patient. I'm caught in the middle of this. I don't know what to do. Okay, so I said, okay, I'm just going to deal with it. I kept buying the tampons. I kept going back to the doctor for infections. My immune system basically was shutting down as what was going on.
It was all this energy was spent trying to get that handle the situation in your stomach.
Out of my body, right. So by 2013, my body is the one that gave out. My body was like, looky here, honey. If you don't get this taken care of, we're just going to kill you. You're just going to die right now.
That's how the body works, though. People need to understand that,
Yeah.
It's a system. If it's being blocked, if it doesn't have the nutrition or if the stress levels are too high, it would attack you.
Yeah, girl, it will shut you down quick because it shut me down. I thought I had the flu. I thought I had real bad flu, and I just kept vomiting. So I go to the emergency room, and I get there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you just got a stomach virus. Your potassium is low. Take this, go on home." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yes, probably just stomach virus." And I'm taking over the counter, drugs, because our sinuses and stuff was messed up too. But then I go home and they give me some nausea pills. so I won't vomit no more. And I get home and I think I ate like not even a half a bowl of soup because I was feeling real bad. I just wanted to go to bed. So I ate a half a bowl of soup, and I think like an hour later I got back up, and I just kept, I couldn't stop vomiting, just kept, coming out, and then I
Mm-hmm.
started thinking to myself, well, what am I vomiting because I haven't eaten nothing? We got a problem now, Captain. I say,
Yeah.
what about that? What is all this stuff? Because it was coming like a lot, like the Exorcist movies, like it was coming out a lot.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I went right back to the hospital, and the same people that was there from the night before, the nurses, they looked at me like, "Oh, she's back." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Y'all did not diagnose me correctly." I said, "This is not a stomach virus." I said, "Because I've been throwing up all night, and I've been taking them nausea pills, and they've been coming back up too." So, luckily, a doctor came in there and she heard me, just because I was irate. I was like, they're trying to kill me. Okay. So, a doctor came in there and I had, vomited a little bit. And she looked at it and she was like, that's blood. I
It was
said,
dark.
what?
It was dark,
It
right?
was dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, that's
Not
blood.
red.
I said, are you serious? I said, now, wait a minute. I said, this hospital sent me home last night. I said, so you mean to tell me I've been throwing up my own blood for 2 days? I said, are y'all serious? I said, oh my God, where is it coming from? Why am I throwing up blood? So they had to do emergency ulcer. I had ulcers, emergency ulcer surgery on me. And I'm like, I ain't never had no ulcers. I don't drink sodas, never have drunk sodas. I don't like sodas because it's too acidic. And, I try to drink juice and water. I don't, do a whole lot of acidic stuff. So I said, where these ulcers come from? Okay. And so they were trying to, figure it out. Like, well, we don't know. But the kind of ulcers, here's the kicker. This is how we knew it was from the IUD. The ulcers that I had, the gastroenterologist, and I had specialists at this point. The gastroenterologist specialist had never saw my type of ulcers before. Ulcers are like this, usually. They're round, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mine were squiggly lines going across my stomach. There's lines going across my stomach.
Was
like
it
this.
cutting into your stomach?
Yeah, they were squiggly lines.
That's why it was squiggly, because the piece from the ID was cutting into your stomach.
Oh, no, not the IUD. No, the IUD, now, be mindful now, the IUD was embedded on the right side in my lymph node. Okay, but the ulcers, this is all the stuff that it was, the IUD caused inside of me, basically, is what I'm breaking down to.
Okay.
Because a piece was embedded still inside me. So it caused the ulcers that, the gastroenterologist was like, look, you just gonna have to take this pill the rest of your life because we ain't never seen that before. I said, excuse me, what? How am I supposed to live with? Talking about we done had all, a couple of the pathologists look at it and look at your ulcers, and we just can't figure out where that those ulcers come from. But now, then they try to put in my doctor's report that I had peptic ulcers, which, peptic ulcers, they're like this. No ulcers go across your stomach like that. So anyway, so they put me on Protronics. So after that,
It sounds like a nanotechnology pill or something like that.
Yeah,
Protronics.
to stop the ulcers. So then, after I had the surgery with the ulcers, I went home and I was laying in the bed, and a TV commercial came on. I remember distinctly. I said, "Oh my God!" TV commercial come on. If you
Class
have
action
the
suit.
Marina IUD and you had internal organ problems, I said it was that IU. Now this 2013 now. I said it's that IUD that they told me that was fibroids and not to worry about it. I said, oh my God. So I think it was like a Friday. I think it was Friday evening. Girl, Monday morning, I called the same doctor that found the foreign object, the piece of the IUD, in 2009. I called him Monday morning. I said, can you please find out if the thing is still in there? And at the time, I didn't even have insurance because I had my own business. And I was like, I don't even have my own insurance right now. I said, he's like, okay, well, I'll cut you a deal. So, because he was worried about me because when I went to him, he said, I thought you got that out in 2009. I said, they told me. I said, I tried. So he looked and he couldn't do the all the testing. So he did an MRI because with the ulcers, anything that I put in my stomach, it comes right back up. I just threw it right back. I couldn't even drink water. Water would come right back up until my stomach healed. So anyway, so he did the MRI, and sure enough, and this is 2013, sure enough, it was still in there. It was still in there. He was like, you got kidney abscesses on top of that. I had a bilateral kidney abscess that grew too. I said, well, where'd that come?
Well, because it knocked
like,
everything out of place, right? Because it was in there and growing extra stuff, and
yeah,
it messes everything. It's like a domino effect with your other organs and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And see, this is what women don't realize, and these men don't realize. When these women get this birth control, okay, y'all in there, one false wrong move or something go wrong, that birth control can kill a woman and alter her reproductive organs for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that. But I didn't realize that until I started going through this stuff. I was like, oh my God. So,
and wait, I just want to interject a little bit. And people, when they hear about like the IUD and Depo-Provera, it's marketed to them like, oh, this is science. Oh, this is progress. So people think that they're also hip and chic by using the latest technology. I mean, that's a whole nother show. Like this is what I guess the Carnegies used with the Flexner Report and all that stuff. They did a PR campaign to make all these procedures look cool. So if you make it look cool and trendy, more people are also willing to try them because they think it's like it's evolution, but it's really devolution.
Yes, devolution, because you have to think about it this way. These are man-made products. Man made this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And what does a man know about a woman's body? They are not a woman. So they're just making up stuff for a woman, a body that they don't even know about. And we're entrusting them. And this is what I figured out, because I went through a lot of doctors. I went through probably about 50 to 100 doctors that looked at me. I had doctors at me from head to toe. Okay, because they were trying to figure out after I had the situation with the ulcers, and I had to go back and I had to find more doctors, and then I was in and out of the hospital with high blood pressure, and then I was bleeding. I could be walking somewhere and I just start bleeding. And when I say bleeding, I mean like somebody stabbed me about 50 times. Okay, you just be walking somewhere and just all of a sudden you can't even control it. It just came out. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this going on? So, I was in several emergency rooms, several hospitals. The total count was 17 hospitals, about 18 hospitals, and probably about 8, 9 surgeries I had. So I was in and out. But anyway, so when I found out that the piece was still there, I was working with another lady, and she was a sweet lady from India. She was my doctor. She controlled my hypertension and blood pressure and stuff. So, and then they thought I had hyperthyroidism, lower thyroid, and they were testing me for everything that they could possibly think of in the book, because it was like, why are you're young, you're beautiful, you're like 110 pounds. Okay, women want to look like you. Okay,
yeah.
But like, why are you so sick?
Yeah,
I said, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
Okay?
it's
we gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
So I went to my Indian doctor, and I was like, please help me find a gynecologist to take this IUD piece out. I said, please. I said, because I tried, and the doctor that did the surgery told me don't worry about it, da 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 da. So she gave me, we sat down and she went through her own personal, they have their own personal referral list. And she referred me to some gynecologists that she knew. And so I contacted a couple of them, and a couple of them told me, we can't touch you. We won't see you. If you had a Marina IUD, some of these doctors will not see you or touch you. They look at you as a risk. And I'm like, excuse me? So, and let me tell you.
But wait,
one doctor,
because the pharmaceutical companies are going to come after them and try and revoke their license. That's why, right?
well,
Or
yeah.
harass them. Is that why?
Yeah. You know, they that pay to play, you know, because all these offices that I was going into, Marina IUD was everywhere. So that means, you know, the pharmaceutical reps, sales reps was, you know, giving those doctors, you know, benefits for marketing that Marina IUD. We know that's how it works. Okay, these pharmaceutical reps be giving these doctors cash bonuses,
Yes, and trips,
vacations,
vacations, yeah.
yeah, and all
Yeah.
this stuff, brand new cars just to market their pharmaceutical
And
products. Okay,
pins.
yeah, yeah,
Not that the pins
so,
matter. I'm just being
yeah.
silly, but I know that they give them
Okay, the little
and another
sticky note.
and this is wait, I want to add this though. This is how the system works because a lot of doctors are at least a quarter to $500,000 in debt after they get out of medical school. So they don't really start making money until later after they paid all that debt off. So this is another way how doctors are enslaved and how they probably won't even bother to look into a lot of medical conspiracies, or they don't want to, they don't care because they're taking care of their own stuff. It just depends on the person. Each doctor is different. I can't speak for every doctor, but
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of the
yeah.
pay to play going on in the pharmaceutical
Yeah.
industry.
Do you know
with
Gwen
the
Olson?
reps.
Do you know Gwen Olson?
I think I heard of that.
We interviewed her. She was a pharmaceutical rep that came out as a whistleblower. But we talk about this. There's also a guy named Verapin. There's Brandy Vaughn. There's a few people now that are whistleblowing on the pharmaceutical industry and the whole system that we were just talking about with doctors and how they're coerced and manipulated and brainwashed into being compliant with this system as well.
Yeah. Well, I've done a lot too, but when I was speaking out about it too much, I got too much of a buzz going on about it in China, Germany, because I actually wrote Germany a letter and translated it in German. Okay. I said it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow. I said, but I will work with my federal government to let them know what y'all are over here doing. Okay? What y'all are doing to the American people. And, and I talked to Bayer Pharmaceuticals, I talked to their lawyer. They have a lawyer here in the States, and she was some young girl, and I told her, girl, you better find you another job because you're dealing with the devils right there. So those are the devils. The stuff that I found, what they're doing here in the United States, we got some big problems. We have some big problems. And all of this stuff that I found, stemmed from this, IUD situation that I went through. Because, let me go back to that. Because the doctor that I finally got, it was a female doctor. She was a foreign doctor. And of course she had Marina IUD in her office. And I have, my ex-fiance, he could vouch for, a lot of this stuff because he kind of went through it with me. It got too rough for him. And he left me when I was in the hospital. So that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Okay. But now they're going back to these doctors and stuff, and it just got too much for him. But anyway, so me and him go to this doctor, and I get all the tests because she requested all my tests from all the doctors, all the hospitals. Okay, we got CDs. I got everything that she needed. And I was like, now, can you please take this thing out of me? And she was like, no, I can't touch you. I said, excuse me? I said, aren't you a gynecologist? Aren't you a doctor? I said, what are y'all talking about? I said, yeah. Girl, went off on a deep end. Girl, I started crying. I said, I'm going to die. I can't find a doctor.
Yeah, but that's true. I mean, we're laughing now because you're okay, but that must have been terrible.
Girl, I was devastated. I said, I'm going to die. Okay. Yeah. And I was having so many problems. I couldn't work. I lost my business. I lost my apartment. I lost everything that I owned, everything, trying to fight this, situation with this Marina IUD. So finally she said, okay, she says, I can't treat you. She says, but I know somebody else who will. I'm like, thank you, God. What is his name? Let's call him right now to make an appointment. But she was like, well, no, before you go, we have to give you medication. You have an infection. But before I came to the appointment, she said, oh, you have an infection. So you need to take this medication to clear up that infection before
Yeah.
you go see this new doctor. And I'm like, okay. So I took the medication. I'm like, what is all up with? I keep getting these infections. I said, where does that come from? But anyway, so I take the medication. I go to this new doctor, and everywhere I go, my blood pressure is like in the 200s. They're like, the
And then
machine start.
they just give you antibiotics.
No, they just gave me blood pressure
No,
medicine.
no,
But some
I'm
of
saying for your infection, do they give you antibiotics?
yeah,
And that's
antibiotics.
another
Yeah,
thing. The antibiotics is
yeah.
destroying your immune system, so you can't fight it. You're not able to properly fight your infection off.
Girl,
It's
that
crazy because
medication they gave me deteriorated my entire stomach lining.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
my
Mhm.
entire stomach lining is gone. Okay, because
Wow.
of all these drugs they gave me.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
and because I had all those blood pressure medications, they found like a little spot of water on my liver due to the medications, the blood pressure medication. So, girl, that's a whole nother story.
Wow.
So anyway, so I go to this doctor. I'm like, can you please help me? Can you please? I said, I got to get this out. I said, I went to all these doctors. I done had surgery. I done been here, and out of the hospital. I said, nobody won't help me. I said, I'm going to die.
Wow.
He said, oh, he's a foreign doctor too. And then he had another foreign black doctor in there too. So like, oh, don't worry about it, because he was a specialist. He was a oncologist, gynecologist. He was a cancer gynecologist, is what he was. And so, they took tests, but they was like, okay, you have an infection, so we want to get you cleared up before we do the surgery. And, then we want to do some tests on you. Girl, they did some tests on me. Oh, you got endometriosis, you got dysplasia, you got, you're in pre-cancer stage. I'm like, what? I'm like, what happened? I said, what happened to my inside? What happened? They're like, oh, we'll remove the piece. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. I said, but what about all this other stuff? He's like, we'll remove the piece. So they did the surgery. They removed the piece out of my lymph node. Remember, that was embedded in there? They had to remove, the piece. Okay. So they removed the piece. And I'm thinking, oh, thank you, God, it's out. It's out. Thank God, thank God, thank God. The doctor tells me, oh, you ain't gonna have no problem. You should be fine. And I'm like, okay. A week later, after surgery, I started bleeding badly. And I'm like, I'm in tears. I'm like, I called the doctor. I said, you said what not going to happen.
Yeah, I know. And he probably really thought that. Like, I don't think he was necessarily bad, but like their training is only limited too because of their paradigm.
Yeah, girl, I'm like, oh my God. I said, I thought y'all said this stuff was supposed to stop. So it was like, well, come on in, we'll get checked out and stuff. But to make sure it wasn't my ulcers, I called the gastroenterologist also. So I made an appointment with them. So I went, I think the very next day, I went to the doctor that did the surgery. And so, they did an ultrasound, a video, to see what's going on up inside. And I remember, how you have you do the ultrasound so you could see it on the TV, right? And I looked over, the nurse practitioner, she was doing the ultrasound, and I looked over and I looked at the TV and I said, what is all that white stuff? I said, that looked like, how the popcorn is on the ceiling? So, how the popcorn look on the ceiling?
Yeah. And
that's what it looked like inside of my stomach. I said, what is that? I said,
wow.
It was like, oh yeah, we can't even hardly get up in your uterus. I said, well, what is it? I said, the doctor didn't see that when he did the surgery a week ago. 2 weeks ago, he didn't see that. I said, he didn't see all that white stuff. So they're like, oh, they laughed it off. Oh, we've seen it worse than that. That's just an infection. We've seen it worse than that. I said, no, I didn't have this infection too long. Okay.
Yeah,
I
you're
said,
like,
everywhere I go, I said, they talking about infection. Oh, take this. So they give me more infection medicine.
mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. But then the very next day, I had an appointment with the gastroenterologist. And so when I went to go see the gastroenterologist, they were like, before I even went back there, they took my blood pressure. They was like, we're not even going to see you. Your blood pressure is in the 200s, ma'am. Your blood pressure is 180 over 190. You can die. That's stroke level. You're beyond stroke level. How are you even walking around right now, ma'am? I was like, I went to the doctor yesterday. I said it was in 200s. They let me go home. They was like, are you on blood pressure medicine, ma'am? I'm like, yeah, I'm on blood pressure medicine. They was like, well, something. I was like, you need to go to the ER. We're not even going to see you.
Dang.
So I'm like,
wait, I hate to cut this short. Can we wrap? I want to know the resolution, but I want to ask you for a few more questions. I only got 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
This is good.
Okay. Yeah.
So long story short.
Part 2. We're gonna do part 2.
I know.
We're gonna do part 2 of this because it's kind of long.
Okay.
Because you're saying that I went through this from 2007 up until currently now that I'm dealing with some stuff.
So you got it removed. You figured out I
figured out, and then find out when I went back to the hospital, I had a disease. I had pelvic inflammatory disease. They found out that they kept saying infection. That was actually a disease that was traveling from my stomach to my heart, to my lungs, and to my brain, and it would have killed me.
And I bet you it was a result, in addition to what happened to you, and the antibiotics they were giving you too.
Yeah, well, the infectious disease doctors, I had 2 of them. Had 2 infectious disease doctors. When they came in, girl, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, I know I can't get HIV. I said, oh, God, what's wrong now?
Yeah.
So I was like, ma'am, you have pelvic inflammatory disease caused by an intrauterine device, caused by IUD.
Wow. Did you get on that lawsuit?
No. Let me tell you about the lawsuits. That's a bunch of BS, too. Okay?
Because you don't get that much?
The pharmaceutical industry is threatening these people. They're threatening people that want to sue them. Yeah. Germany controls United States pharmaceutical industry and a couple other countries. Yeah. They are threatening the American people who are speaking out. Because when I started speaking out to the FDA, the Health and Human Services, I even called the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the CIA. I contacted everybody, and I also contacted she was the head of the Food and Drug Administration, FDA. I called for her resignation because I was like, look, you ain't protecting women. If all this stuff is going on, you are not protecting us, and you're the head of the FDA. I said, we need somebody in there better. And then I also contacted the lady that wrote the warning letter to Bayer back in 2009, warning them about the birth control and the side effects that women were having.
You have a copy of that?
Oh, I got emails.
I would like to have that. I would like to get a copy of that.
So I'm a whole lot of information.
I'm gonna steer it back real fast so we can close out soon. I want to ask you because it started off with asking you where the Democratic plantation. So you're kind of telling about your journey to waking up was through the corruption in the medical industry. How did you figure that? How did you also figure that like the Democratic plantation was also corrupt through that?
The key dates that I said was those key dates that I said. I said, well, the years 2007 to 2016.
Yeah. Well,
who was in office?
Obama.
There you go.
I was like, wait a minute, who I have to think hard? Wait, I'm getting tired. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
Obama.
Yeah. Right.
So you just
dealt with the entire Obama administration. That's why I know a lot of stuff that I haven't came out with a lot of this stuff, because when I did start coming out, being, basically a whistleblower, they told me that I would be killed and lawyers and people in the military. It was like, you better watch your back. And I was followed by even
Yeah.
researching. And then they tried to hack my computer. They did all kind of stuff to me. I got threats online, on Twitter, on Facebook, in another foreign language. And, I translated it. So it is a very dangerous game. I said, you know what?
I'm sorry, I believe you, but I'm just like picturing you like trying to like, Daci's dead. You like put in the Google Translator. You're like, we're going to kill you, but it's like in German.
Yeah, but but me, my crazy, but I will write something in English and translate it for
yeah, I'm like that too.
It's you and the horseshoe came on.
Yeah, no, sometimes
come get me.
Even when we did our podcast and we would talk about like vaccines, like my April and I, the coach, owner of the channel, we would get death threats, we would get rape threats, and now I'm just starting to screenshot them. I never did before, because we just erased them like immediately. But we would also be very antagonistic, and sometimes I wonder if that's the right thing to do because some of these people are out of their flipping minds.
Yeah. They were
like, we're gonna kill you. I'm like, come to my window, MF. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I don't care until I'm like, I will protect myself until I see that you're at my place. Then, you're not gonna intimidate me through the internet. Like, go stuff it,
Okay, really. Any means necessary. You cross my path, then, that's any means necessary.
Because I'm not gonna go quietly.
I'd be like, look, I'm the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, so you better think twice about coming this way. Okay? Because my daddy and his friends taught me a lot of tactics, so you better think twice before you come over this way.
Yeah, seriously. But people will just they don't even need to take it that far because people will just get intimidated by cyberbullying. You know what I mean? People just get intimidated by words. People just back down. And that's unfortunate that a lot of people too are very like weak-minded like that or very easily intimidated like that.
And I tell people, you know what? When you almost die, because I almost died, I have nothing to lose. When you almost die, you on your deathbed, okay? And you was on your deathbed. After that, God blessed you to be here on this earth. Because I could have died. Because this stuff was laying dormant inside of me for years. I had a disease that if it wouldn't have been caught, it would have killed me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus for your blood pressure.
Something like, and my blood pressure. Yeah. On top of that. I could have died several times, but God kept me here on this earth. That's why I am thankful to be here. So if anybody has anything to say to me, sometimes I'm not nice. I'm like, screw you and the horse you rode on because God wants me here, okay? Because I know what I went through. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
I would tell the pharmaceutical corporation, I don't care who you are, okay? That Marina IUD is the devil. If it is giving women a disease that can kill them and cancer that can kill them. You almost killed me. And I told him, I don't even care if it's financial reward. I don't even care. Okay?
Yeah.
It's
not with your life and your quality. Yeah. It's not with your quality of life and your life. Yeah. And your quality of life. Because even if you, you're surviving, but people that are affected by those, are they having a good quality of life? Are they suffering? Are they in pain? No amount of money, they can help maybe in case you can't work, but no amount of money really can remedy that,
No.
Remedy a dead loved one that did die, it's nothing can compare to that,
I ended up homeless on the street because of a birth control device. Homeless, losing everything. I worked in the corporate world for 30 years. Always worked. My first job I had was a newspaper route when I was 8 years old. Okay? Wow. I've been working ever since. Wow. Until I got sick with the Marina IUD. Ended up losing everything.
Wow.
Homeless on the street. Going in and out of the hospital. Had to live with people. People stealing from me. People beating me up. Me and my son. They don't know what the hell I had to deal with. Behind a birth control device. Yeah. It took me a lot of time to get, me back together.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, boy, when I get me back together, it's going to be hell to pay for everybody. Everybody. Because I'm the type, I don't back down, and I will put the truth out there. So, a lot of women need to know because they have daughters out here that are getting these birth control devices. I don't have girls. I have 2 boys. So, I really don't have to do this. but I am doing it for all women and all
But
young
and
girls.
that was just the IUD device, not talking about deprivation, not talking about the mental
Oh
instability.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I won't go into my situation right now, but I had a situation too where I had to go through a lot of doctors to find out something was wrong with me. They gave me birth control. I had endometriosis and some other stuff, and
yeah,
you know, just also just that process of going through doctors, man, that's just devastating
yeah.
enough. Because then
It
people,
is.
when they can't find something, they make you think you're crazy, and they're like, "It's in your
Yeah,
head. You're
yeah,
just
yeah,
making it up." I'm like, I
yeah,
wish I was, because if I was, then I
yeah.
can stop it. But I'm not, you know.
But girl, in my case, girl, they weren't like that. They was like, Miss Camper, you need to stay in the hospital. I was like, I want to get out this
Yeah,
hospital.
no, I know.
I
But I
had to
mean,
take
like,
antibiotics for well penicillin. You know, when they found out, this is the crazy part. That's what I'm like, girl, they got a problem. When they found out that I had the pelvic inflammatory disease, I had to get pumped with penicillin in both arms every 4 hours.
oh my god,
In
oh my
both
god,
arms. Do you know how much that burns?
yeah.
In both arms every 4 hours. That's how bad it was. Okay, they had to pump me both arms. I'm laying in the hospital just crying, 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 crying because you can't do nothing. And then finally, I was like, "Can y'all please let me out of this hospital?" And they let me go home, but I had to take antibiotics for like 4 months to clear
Jeez.
up the PID disease,
Wow.
just for that.
Well, you girl,
So
you look
I'm
great.
like,
You look great, by the way. You would think that this would have
girl,
aged you
yeah, this is
like.
a work in progress here, girl. It was a work in progress.
But you look great. You look healthy.
Yeah, because God
You're
was on
very
my side.
blessed.
That's why.
You're very blessed, seriously, and
Yeah,
it's even
I am.
great that we can even laugh about it. You know that you don't.
I know.
You're still not taking
Yeah.
yourself too seriously, because there are people too. They go through stuff and they try and make people feel bad for them all the time. They're always so serious, and they never, never seem to overcome. So your situation is very inspiring, and everybody has their ups and downs. I want to
Yeah.
ask you one question, because I wish we got a little bit of late start too, but I don't want this to go super long. We have to come back, I guess,
Yeah,
and
we
talk
got to
about
do
some
a
other
round two
stuff.
because I got a lot more
Yeah,
information that I
yeah,
want
yeah.
to put out
But
there.
this is good. I'm gonna leave Kyla's. I keep calling you Kyla. Kayla's links
Okay.
in the bottom, and also we did a symposium roundtable with Magnificent, Conservative Mexican,
Yeah.
Maurice. Who else?
Um,
American
American
Curls
Girl.
on legal immigration. So that's coming
Yeah.
up soon. I'm editing it right now because I'm trying to cut it up into
Yeah.
smaller parts and adding links to it so people can look up the stuff that we're talking about in the video. But anyway, it was so great to have you. I just want to ask you one more thing. The closing question is: what do you want to see in America? Like, what is your vision of America that you would like to see in the future?
Americans. One of the things that I'm creating that I'm going to be talking about my YouTube channel. I want to talk about that because it's kind of based upon that. The YouTube channel that I'm going to be starting, the name of it is USA Children of Veterans Media.
Oh wow!
USA Children of Veterans and the
Okay.
Media by Kaila Truce. Because I am the daughter of a Vietnam veteran. Okay, our fathers fought for this country. And that includes, when I say fathers, that includes our family, because a lot of our family members, we have to deal with these military veterans when they come back. And
Yeah.
these people in America need to listen to us, American, children that are, daughters of men and women of the daughters of veterans, about how we feel about this country, because our families fought for this country. All these people that migrated here, and all the disrespect of the liberals and all of that, they have no respect for this country. They basically are slapping my family and my father and all the other veterans in the face, and they don't really care about what they have done for their families to be where they're at in the United States. So this is one of the things that I'm going to be starting, because I'm going to be talking about some of the things of they want to say the so-called conspiracies. No, these are real facts. Then I'm going to talk about some of the things that my father and other veterans have gone through that I know. in these wars when they came back from the wars.
Mhm.
There was a lot of things people don't understand that occurred
And they're
during
manipulated
those
into the
wars.
wars too. You know what I mean? A lot
Yeah.
of people, because this is one thing that I definitely have to say I changed my tune on. I start thinking about all the wars and all of the what are the invasions that the U.S. has created, but a lot of it's basically manipulating poor people into going and killing other poor people. A lot of people that join the military, they have good intentions, or maybe they want to travel, or maybe they need somebody to pay to college, and they're not really going into war, to go to war with people.
No,
But
like my father was drafted,
yeah,
and
okay. And then
he was
people that are
upset. He
drafted,
was,
but it's like, but
you
even
know,
the people that aren't drafted, they join, and then they get in a situation where they have secret missions and stuff too that we don't even hear about.
well,
That
yeah.
what I
There's a lot of
mean?
stuff
Yeah,
because
there's a lot of stuff that goes on.
but they were drafting the black man, and see, my father, they branded my father as a black man, and my father's probably your complexion, if not lighter
He's
than
Native
you.
American. You're saying he's Native
Yeah,
American?
he's Native American and black, but he's very, I'm the darkest in my family. I got the dark portion. I got the Native American
You got that
dark.
milk chocolate skin.
Yeah, I got. It's brown, okay, but all
Yeah.
my other family members is about your complexion and lighter.
Mhm.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just got the dark side. But and because he had the fair looking skin, they said he was an African American, and that he was going to be drafted. So that's one of the things that my father instilled in me, that you make sure you tell these people that you are not an African American. You are African American and you are Native American. So I'm on both sides of the coin, because they didn't, establish his Native American roots when they drafted him. They only said he was African American
Mhm.
because, he had fair skin color. So, that was a big issue, back then. They were
Yeah.
drafting, a lot of the black men for the war, and, not the Caucasian men, just like the situation with McCain. Okay. They say he went, he didn't go. Okay. Because he got scared and didn't want to go.
So
That was a big lie too.
so it
Okay,
just
they drafted a black man.
So, getting back to the last question, you were saying you want to create a YouTube channel for veterans. So you want people to have more respect for veterans, for America. What is your vision that
Yeah.
you want it to see in America, like of the future? What is your vision of America for the future?
Oh, people to stop lying. No, I want to create.
That's fine.
Yeah, I want to create a lot of programs. Because of my personal situation, and I've been out here boots on the ground. I've been homeless. I've dealt with a lot of people that are homeless. I've dealt with the pharmaceutical industry. I've dealt with the federal government. I've dealt with, young adults. I've worked in the corporate world. I've done a lot. I have so many businesses. I'm like a serial entrepreneur. I have so many businesses based off my own experiences and the research and the things that I went through that I can't even list them all. I have so many businesses to help people and help my country. And let me tell you one thing too. You have to be careful too. I put several of my business ideas out here online several years ago, and I used that Kickstarter. I used all that. Kickstarter got hacked, so there go my business idea that got hacked. And then I put it on some other like equity trading, equity websites and stuff to get investors and all of that. Long story short, I found my ideas with a different company in a different country.
Yep.
So do not put your business ideas and give people your information of the jobs that the businesses that you want to create, because they are stealing people's information. I have a girlfriend currently
Yeah.
going right now, a girlfriend that what I wanted to mention too, matter of fact, I have a girlfriend right now, she's suing Hollywood for copyright
You're sorry.
infringement.
Yeah.
They took her idea and then they tried to tweak it a little bit and make a whole nother show out of it.
Hollywood will straight
But
up erase your name off the paper and write their name on it. But I'm gonna cut you off because I have to use the restroom.
okay,
We gotta go. I gotta go to
okay,
bed too. But we'll have to I'll just have you come back. Where can we
yeah,
find
we'll come
you?
back.
Just give people, tell them you'll send me your links later, but also tell people where they can find you, where they can get in touch with you if they want to.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna start my YouTube channel. Probably not tonight. I can tell you that tomorrow. You can find me at USA Children of Veterans Media by Kaila Truce. That's on my YouTube, or you can just look up Kaila Truce.
I'll put the link.
And
It's
then
in the description. Got for you guys.
yeah, yeah. And then you can find me on Facebook at Kaila Truce. You can find me on Twitter at Kaila Truce. You can find my blog on WordPress, but that's consumer, the number 2, save, SAV, live. She'll put the link down there at WordPress.com. You can look at all my pharmaceutical and all my research there. I have over 800 articles that I wrote on my blog. And as I was going through my medical stuff and other things. So you can reach me there, and hopefully we'll be putting more information out here for America, and to try to, save our country and protect the American people, because we have a serious foreign infiltration into the United States right now. And people really need to know that these people are not out here playing nice. They are not nice.
Yeah.
They are here doing stuff to us and putting in our food and our drugs. So that I want to say real quick too, Bayer and Monsanto are the same. They're both companies from Germany that are tainting our food and drug industry in the United States. You can look it up yourself. So that's very important for people to know. So. But we'll speak more about that, and I can show more information. I can show you the links. I can give you the emails. We'll talk about that on a whole nother show.
Okay, thanks so much for coming. All right, guys, that's it. We'll see you later. Peace, peace, love. Bye. Mwah. Wait, hold on.
Bye.
Oh, yeah, bye. Hold on. Don't hang up. Don't hang up.